What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Me TV Reviews. I am your host, Mo, and today, y'all, we're going to be discussing a Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday on a Monday, y'all. This is season 2, episode 3, titled Call of the Woe. I hope you guys have had a wonderful weekend. Unfortunately, it's back to the hustle and the bustle of the week. So without further ado, let's go ahead, get into the synopsis real quick, and then we're going to get right into the episode. So the synopsis for this one is, stripped of both her ability and Goody's book, Wednesday is forced to do some old-fashioned detective work on a school camping trip. Uh-oh. Wednesday and them antics, baby. I am excited to see what she gets into. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop in. So this episode starts off with Morticia and Gomez. Now, Morticia is mortified, absolutely mortified that she forgot Thing's birthday. But never fear, because Gomez is here. Y'all, Gomez done ended up finding the best hand masseuse. Usually, there's a 6-month wait list for old girl, but because she likes disembodied appendages like Thing and triple the pay, she's there giving Thing the best hand massage that he could ever have. So, as they're talking, Morticia ends up telling Gomez that the fundraising efforts have been trash, but she was suddenly overcome with the motivation to call her mom and ask her to be the guest of honor at the fundraising gala. So she was like, I don't know what came over me, boo, but I just had this inkling to call my mama. All right. So just as she's saying that, Gomez is really trying to cheer up. I love Gomez. He put on some music. And she was like, hold on, because she sensed something when they was finna get ready to dance. So she stepped out under the guise that she was finna get ready to go get into something a little bit more uncomfortable. So it's finna be spicy time. All right. So instead of her getting real spicy for Gomez, she actually runs into Wednesday, who done snuck in because she's trying to find the hiding spot where Morticia hid Goody's book. So she was like, girl, what are you doing here? And she was like, girl, you know exactly why I'm here. So Morticia is determined to not have Wednesday go down that exact same path that her sister did. She feels like her mom failed her sister. And because Wednesday is using Goody's book, she feels like the book is just a shortcut for her to hone her psychic abilities. But Wednesday tries to plead her case, telling her the vision that she had of Enid and how, Enid's death was blamed on her. And so she's trying to avoid her friend dying, and she just needs her help psychic. And she was like, nah, baby, that's a shortcut. And I'm not finna fall for the okie doke. You're not finna end up like my sister and be using your psychic abilities that's gonna ultimately drive you into a state of madness. I refuse to fail you like my mama failed my sister. So that's gonna be a hard no for me. And so she was like, girl, this ain't over. Did she expect it to ever be? It's always a fight between the two of them. So Morticia for now is standing her ground. All right. So Wednesday ends up going back to her school. And why I say her school, like they ain't on campus together. She ends up going back to her room. And Enid is frantically looking for her bikini top. Now this camping trip is coming up, and she has to have at least 5 outfits, even though it's literally just an overnight. Okay. And so then Wednesday brings up the fact that Enid has been avoiding Ajax. And so she was like, girl, I wasn't expecting me and Bruno's relationship to heat up so fast. We went from talking to, I was like, Enid, what y'all been doing? You been howling at the moon together? So yeah, she wasn't expecting things to progress so quickly, but here they are. And, she's hopelessly in love with that boy. So she just needs to have a conversation with Ajax. It is what it is. But in the meantime, she's telling Wednesday that she should go on this trip. And Wednesday was like, girl, I need solitude to get what I need to get done. So when she ends up suggesting that one of their other friends may have the top that she's looking for, when Enid leaves, y'all, we find out that Agnes was the one that ended up having her top, because Agnes been in the room the entire time. Now, I guess she got a whole invisibility cloak because she had took Enid's bikini top. And so Agnes was like, girl, what can I do to help? Because we need to figure this thing out. Now, I'm sorry, before she showed herself, before she revealed herself, Wednesday was having a conversation with Thing about how she still wants to keep her vision between them, right? And so then Agnes appears and she was like, how long you been standing there? Okay. And so Agnes was like, girl, I can help you however I need to help you. You just let me know what you need me to do. And she basically shooed her off. She was like, look, I got to go to a funeral. Okay. And if you still here when I get back, I'm going to be early for yours. Oh, goodness gracious, Wednesday. So, y'all, why am I just now realizing that Agnes's hair is literally the same hairstyle as Wednesday's? Like, yeah. She's creepy, but I feel like she's going to be useful in the end. So, also when Wednesday was having the conversation with Morticia suggested that an avian is responsible for the possible death that may come to Enid. So they need to be looking for an avian at this point who can control birds, of course. Now, speaking of control, Pugsley has no control over this doggone zombie. But he's still under the illusion that he does, because he has no clue that Slurpy Slurp was out there slurping on the driving instructor's brains last night. Because by the time he came to check in on him and Eugene, Slurpy Slurp was back in his change, y'all. Was waiting on him to get fed. And so Pugsley ends up showing Eugene, hey, it seems like he's coming back to human form because he's got a brain. His brain is coming back to life. And not only that, y'all, Eugene had ended up pulling like this larvae out of his body. And it's usually the type of larva that you find on a corpse. Which I was like, that don't give y'all no hints. But I mean, he been dead for a long time. So them larvae should have been long gone on him. But it seems like he's going back through the cycle of life, okay? Like his body is becoming unzombified. Let me get it out. That's not even a word. So anyway, yeah, so Eugene is like, hey, I don't think this is going to go well. I think we need to try to get some help. And Pugsley was like, nah, homie, because what's going to happen is if we try to get him help, or if this becomes too dangerous and gets out of our control, they ain't gonna do nothing but put him down. And he was like, but he already did. You may have a point there, Eugene. You may have a point. But Pugsley don't see that just yet. All right, that's his friend. That's his only friend right now, it seems like. So for now, it still remains a secret. We'll see what happens. Sorry, y'all. So then we pop over to Wednesday. Wednesday is attending the funeral of Sheriff Galpin. And unfortunately, y'all, it's only two people there aside from her. We didn't even know she was there at first. It's Sheriff Santiago. And then there is Dr. Fairburn. So according to Santiago, the only reason that she's there is because she lost a coin flip toss. So she's there on the behalf because they have to send a representative, right? And then Dr. Fairburn is there on behalf of Tyler. Now, Dr. Fairburn does reveal that Sheriff Galpin did actually come to visit Tyler once before his death. But when he came, Tyler became so outraged that he almost broke the titanium bars that he's locked in, that he's encapsulated in. He almost broke the titanium bars, y'all. That's how pure his rage was for his father. So I was like, oh man, okay. I guess the next best person to fit that rage description, or requirement rather, would possibly be Wednesday. But she says she ain't coming back. So we'll see what happens. She said it took them 5 minutes with a shock collar, y'all. Non-stop shocking for 5 minutes for him to return to human form. So that is a lot of rage there. I just don't know what's gonna happen. And so she ended up asking Dr. Fairburn, does she have any avians there? And she was like, nah, we ain't got no avians. We ain't had no avians at the facility for quite some time. So Wednesday is striking out left and right. Okay, the mystery continues, at least for now. So while everybody is prepping for this outdoor camping extravaganza, Bianca is slinking over to a low-key inn because that's where her mom is hiding out, y'all. The compound has been raided. Morning Song is no longer. And so her mom, we found out, has turned state's witness to testify against Gideon. She's turned over all of the information that she has on him, and they ended up raiding the compound. Now, of course, she had to do this to keep from getting arrested herself or potentially worse. But when they went to go raid the compound and arrest Gideon, they didn't locate him. So now her mom is very concerned about her safety. But Bianca reassures her that once they're able to arrest him, all will be well again. Okay, she promises to keep her safe until then. And I was like, girl, you sure you're going to be able to do that? How you going to do that, Bianca? You tried to tell mama what it was. All right, but she was like, look, that's water up under the bridge right now. We got bigger fish to fry. We got to find him and get him behind bars. So over at the school, Wednesday tags Agnes back in, to her dismay. She don't want to use Agnes, but at this point, she ain't got her psychic abilities to do what she need to do as far as this murder mystery. So she uses Agnes and her friend Josephine to help get into Sheriff Galpin's phone by having Josephine shapeshift into his face so she can unlock his phone. So she also has some pictures there, and she's able to find a recording that homeboy had left before he got his eyes picked out for Sheriff Galpin. And he mentions about how the evidence will be in the bullpen. So Wednesday is able to look on this map because he gave on the map, she was able to decipher that since he hadn't been a police officer for so long, she recognizes that this must be a particular location other than an actual police station. Sorry, y'all. So turns out the location that he's talking about is actually in the woods, and it's not too far away from where they're going to be camping this weekend. So of course, you know, fate has a change of plans for her. So now she is going on this camping trip. So she goes to tell Enid about it, and Enid is super excited. She was like, girl, pump your brakes, because this is not what you think it is. I am solely going to help move along this murder mystery that I found myself in. And then Agnes pops up. Scares the daylights out of Enid. And so she was like, girl, calm your nerves. Don't get too excited just because, you know, my best friend is using you to help solve her murder mystery. I'm sorry, y'all. It's hot and I'm outside. So she was like, girl, don't get too excited about it. All right, I guess I'll have to sleep with one eye open. And she was like, girl, even if you did sleep with one eye open, that wouldn't do you no good because you wouldn't see me coming no way. Calm down. So it actually turns out, too, that it's going to be a full moon during this camping trip. So now they're really going to have to figure out what's going on with the wolf pack, right? Because the wolf pack is supposed to be going. And to make matters even more awkward for Enid, y'all, she was in line finna get her coffee fix for the next 2 days when Ajax comes up behind her. And so he was like, yeah, I just knew that you were indecisive and this, that, and the third. I knew you was just gonna have to find all of these different outfits to put on or whatever, because you can't never make up your mind. And so she, of course, allows him to speak to her, I guess, about her obsessive compulsive disorder when it comes to packing. So anywho, he's finna get ready to help her with her suitcase. And Bruno was like, oh, don't worry about it. I got it. And so Ajax is looking all sad and down in the dumps. And she was like, oh, that's okay. We'll talk later. And so he was like, all right, cool, whatever. So I just feel so bad for Ajax, y'all. So, Dr. Dr. Dort, Principal Dort, excuse me, where I get Dr. Dort from? Principal Dort comes up and starts to make all the announcements and, precautionary rules and regulations for when they're going out here camping. And they arrive. So once they get there, Wednesday sees Pugsley dragging his coffin, and she's like, what's going on with you in this coffin? And he was like, oh, I just got some gasoline and some bottle rockets, this, that, and the third, so I could help start the campfire. But then the problem is the coffin starts moving and making noises. And so he kicks the coffin, and she looking for an explanation from him, but she don't even have time to ask him, hey, what's in the coffin? Because here comes Morticia and Gomez. Y'all, they needed some more chaperones, so who better than them to come and assist? So, of course, the kids aren't interested, to Gomez's disappointment. Okay, he wanted, he hadn't been out here in quite some time, but all of them being back at Nevermore with the kids is just stirring up all of these beautiful memories for him, and so he wants to participate in so much. And he thought that Pugsley would be willing to do these things with him. But now Pugsley is like, actually, no. But we know that's because he up to no good anyway. He hiding a little Slurpee zombie friend. So, he was like, okay, well, how about I go with you? And Pugsley was like, how about no? I'm good, Dad. Thanks. So, of course, Morticia wants to hang out with Wednesday. And Gomez is calling for them to have a truce. But Wednesday is not having it. She is not having it. Now, later on, Gomez and Morticia have a conversation, and he was suggesting that maybe Morticia just give in and give her the book back. And she was like, nah, because I refuse to lose her. I can take all the resentment that she throws at me, all the hatred, the anger, all those negative emotions. But what I refuse to do is lose my daughter. Good for you, Morticia. Be that parent. And she was like, I'm going to need your support, your full support, Gomez, okay? And he was like, of course, darling, of course. So Pugsley done set up this coffin. Eugene come in there because he done set the tent up and put the coffin inside the tent. And so Eugene come in like, okay, we finna go ahead and set up shop. And to his surprise, y'all, Pugsley done bought Slurpee friend. Now we knew that, but he didn't know that. So he was like, why in the hell would you have this zombie come out here with all of our classmates? And he was like, well, I mean, I also bought bottle rockets and stuff and gasoline. So if he tries to escape, at least we'll get a warning. And I was like, a warning before what? Do you think y'all gonna be able to stop him if he get loose? Oh, Pugsley, he is so naive. So they step outside, and Gomez meet them as soon as they step out. And so he was like, okay, y'all gonna invite me into the tent so I can look around, check things out? And he was like, no, actually I'm not, because Eugene just let off a wet one in there. It don't smell too good. So clearly Gomez can sense that Pugsley is up to something, and he was like, hey, y'all, so rule number 1. Whatever you get yourself into, make sure you don't leave no traces of anything. And make sure you definitely don't leave no traces of bodies behind. Especially the bodies. Eugene was like, I gotta go. Oh, this is finna be a hot mess. So Principal Dort has gathered everybody around because he's got to do the ultimate pep talk for the outcasts for the weekend. It's going to be so much fun. The outcasts are going to be able to bond in all forms, right? It's going to be an amazing weekend for them and the School of Nevermore. When all of a sudden, we hear this booming voice. It's the leader of the scouts, y'all. So he's come along with his oodles and oodles of troops, because apparently the campsite has been double booked for this weekend. Oh yes, he made his reservation about 6 months ago, and according to him, he's been preparing his troops for the last 364 days for this particular weekend to prove that they have the skills to pay all the bills. Okay, so he was like, y'all got to go. So Principal Dort was like, actually, no, because we booked this as well. And he says that he booked it through the guy who used to own it Well, he has since retired and has passed down the responsibility to his offsprings. And that's probably why he ain't supposed to be there. All right, so long story short, this guy's trying to stake his claim when Wednesday ends up blowing her bullhorn and says, hey, if you want this, you're going to have to fight for it. Okay, we're going to fight to see who's going to be able to stay. Loser has to go. So they end up doing like a color war. And y'all, the only other time that I've really seen this for real is in Chucky. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. And this is when Andy was, oh my gosh, how old? Andy was probably like, was he a teenager? He was like a preteen or something in that movie, and they did the color war. Y'all remember? So anywho, the color war consists of a team of 10. 5 are going to be the attackers and 5 are going to be the defenders for each group. Now, Nevermore has the purple Zephyr, while these scouts have the green Zephyr. Now, no rules, no regulations. Just grab the Zephyr, make it back before your opponent does, and you win the weekend at Camp Jericho. So that was like, all right, cool, bet. So y'all, the Outcasts thought they had it in the bag at first, and then things started looking a little shaky because the scouts came prepared for a fight. Now, Ajax didn't want Enid and Bruno to be on the team because, you know, he already feeling salty about Enid as is. But after he started getting some crazy looks like, bro, what the hell you mean? You don't want them on the team? He was like, all right, I mean, y'all can join. So Ajax and Osiren Boy was playing the lookout for the defense of the Zephyr. Now, the scouts ended up shooting off Ajax beanie, and he ended up stoning the Osiren Boy over there. Okay? Golden Song. So, they're out. And then Wednesday ended up sending Bruno and Enid to go on the attack. Well, they ended up throwing out these was it flash mobs, a tear gas or something? I don't know what it was, y'all. Okay, but either way, Bruno and Enid was out after that. So then Wednesday had to call in the air enforcements. That's right, y'all. So our boy Eugene came through in the clutch with the bees. Okay, wanna bumble with the bee, huh? Zzz. Throw a hex on your whole family of scouts, that is. So the bees ended up getting all the scouts together while Wednesday came through, and she was like, it was going to take more than chemical warfare for a tear to ever fall from my eye. She ended up grabbing the Zephyr, y'all, and but the scouts had already grabbed theirs a long time ago. So he's like literally halfway up the tower, and Wednesday ends up shooting an arrow. Y'all, when I tell y'all, I'm in the parking lot and I see so much happening where it is a lot going on in this parking lot. So Wednesday ends up shooting her arrow, right? And y'all, when I tell you her aim is supreme, it is supreme, because she ends up aiming her arrow and it hits the tower. Well, she uses that to zip line across all of like the other the rest of the trail, right? And y'all, the way that she ziplined, she ended up connecting with this guy and kicking the scout. She kicked the scout, made him drop the Zephyr. The Zephyr ended up falling off the side of the tower, and it fell and shattered. So of course, Nevermore, the Outcasts win, and the scouts now have to go home. All right. So of course, everybody is super stoked that Wednesday, their hero, has come to the rescue yet again. So Principal Dora ends up congratulating her and was like, you know, for you to be so antisocial, I mean, you are really, really putting in some work, girl. Okay. And so he ended up asking her, was she coming to the bonfire that night? And she was like, nah. Now, he mentioned most kids her age would be experiencing FOMO, and y'all know what that is. It's a fear of missing out. But she has phobia, fear of being included. And I'm like, yeah, I think I'm a part of that crew. If I don't know you, you gonna have to try to convince me 2, 3, 4, 5 times to try to go before I say yeah. So she was like, nah, I'm good on that, homie. So she ended up actually, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I missed before then. No. So while everybody's at this bonfire, and it was beautiful, y'all, they were singing, and they were singing about bad omens being in the air and coming around. Wednesday actually snuck off to go find the cabin in the woods. So she actually found it. And she saw, of course, all of these pictures from when Sheriff Galpin and Tyler would come out there and go fishing, just rest and relax, right? So further into the house, she actually finds this cubby, and it's got all of these different obituaries of outcasts from dating back all the way as far as like 15 years ago. And it's every death of every outcast that has been admitted into the facility where Tyler is now. And so she ends up seeing somebody's name. Her name is Lois. And it's written in red right above her picture. And so she thinks that Lois might be their culprit, right? But when she tries to touch the picture, she doesn't get anything off of it. All right? So it's back to square one. Now, we gonna pause it right there on Wednesday, and we gonna circle back to everybody else that's got something going on. So the scouts, y'all, that leader, he was talking so much cash money to them, talking about how much of a disappointment they are. And not only did they lose to the outcast, but they lost to a girl. I was like, how much of an incel are you really? So he was like, you know what? He don't know the meaning of honor, integrity, or none of that, because none of them scouts promises, because even though they lost, there are no rules. So I can't even say fair and square, because there wasn't no rules to begin with. But even though he shook and agreed that the losers would go home, they lost. And yet and still he's telling them that they're going to try to take the campground back later on that night. Okay, so as that's happening, Enid and Bruno are walking through the woods, and Bruno is like, yeah, you know, we're going to put the little baby pups to bed, and then we're going to go for a midnight swim. You in? You coming? And so Enid was like, of course. Just then Ajax ends up walking up on her because he had spotted them getting real cozy while he was Bruno Marsing it up over there on the guitar, while Miss Capri was singing all the bad omens in the air. And not only was she singing, but so was Morticia. I was like, come on, y'all better harmonize. It was cute. So he ended up spotting them getting cozy, so he ran up on them in the woods, and he was like, hey, man, I didn't even know we was broken up like that, Enid. And so she ends up asking Bruno to give them a second, and they just clear the air. Now, she does apologize to him for leading him on and not being more upfront about how she was feeling about him after the summer had ended. But she said, you know, I went to Lupin Palooza, and she found herself. She was able to wolf out, and now she's kind of got a better idea of who she is, and she's finding her own identity, and she's finding her voice, and she's not that insecure little girl anymore she was last year. And he was like, but I liked her. And she was like, yeah, I know. Okay, but things are changing, and I'm really sorry about it, but it is what it is at this point. And so he was like, man, I guess, you know, mice and squirrels aren't meant to be together or bond or whatever. So as they're walking off, y'all, the scouts been listening the whole time. They done had, what is it called, y'all? The moss, like the moss coverings on them. They've been kind of like hiding in plain sight with the moss coverings. And so they was like, man, I kind of feel bad for old boy. But they still got a mission to complete. So it's finna be a mess. So this big dummy bummy done got his scouts involved in something that he ain't gonna be able to get them out of. Because they're trying to tell him, look, we lost. Okay, they won. we don't think this is a good idea for us to be trying to take this back by force. Why don't we just wait and come another time? And he was like, no. Okay? Listening to you guys, if you listen to your own instincts, that's what's going to get you killed. Keep that in your back pocket. Literally. So he ends up splitting them into groups, and he has 4 of the boys stay with him, right? So he's telling them to keep a low profile, stay stealthy, okay? Be on the lookout. You got to creep and crawl through here like scouts is supposed to do. Why did he turn on this bright flashlight, y'all? Turned on this bright flashlight, and he didn't take 2 steps before he ended up tripping over a tripwire that Pugsley had set up for his tent, just in case to warn them if Slurpee had got out. So he tripped on the tripwire into the tent. When he came to, y'all, when he was able to regain his focus, yeah, it was too late, y'all. Slurpee had took him, y'all. Okay? And the boys that was left behind, the 4, they saw him get his brains ate. He is gone. Okay? So then Pugsley and Eugene end up coming in there, and they see what's happening, or what has happened to this guy. And then here comes Agnes, because Eugene was like, see, I told you it wasn't no good idea. I told you it wasn't a good idea to bring his behind up here. See, Pugsley, you finna get us in a world of trouble. So then Agnes pops up, and she was like, oh, Agnes, baby, I am here to save the day. It is me. It is I. Here to do your sister's small task biddings to keep you guys out of trouble. So she has come to help them. And I don't know how much help she was, because honestly, Slurpee still got away. Now, while all this mayhem is happening on the front, okay, in the back, Wednesday has decided to challenge Morticia to a blindfolded duel. A sword fighting duel where they are blindfolded. And the objective is to be the first one to break the glass heart on your opponent's chest. And if Wednesday wins, she gets Goody's book back. But if she loses, Morticia burns the book. Now, because this is I can't even pronounce type of duel, how she pronounced it is some type of Spanish term for this duel. All right, because this is that type of duel, whatever terms they agree to, they are binding. So it has to happen. And Thing is there to referee. Okay, he's there to facilitate and record all the things that happen. So they in the back and they dueling, while Slurpee done took a axe, y'all, and done started walking the campgrounds. Okay, so the Principal Dorton them had got word about what had happened. No, this was a little bit later. Hold on, y'all. So Slurpee had took an axe, right? And Gomez had decided to go take a shower. Slurpee done made his way through the campgrounds unnoticed. I don't know if these kids still have a particular bedtime or what, because who ain't up? Somebody out of all them kids is there. Somebody has to be up. Somebody has to see something, right? But no. So he makes it all the way to the shower stalls where Gomez is. And initially, Gomez think that it's Morticia, y'all. Slurpee done, he done ended up tearing down the wooden stall with the axe. He been tearing it down hit by hit, right? So by the time Gomez finally realizes who it is, Slurpee done put his tongue all over him and everything. So he was like, ooh, getting hot and spicy for his baby boo, just for him to turn around and realize it's a flesh-eating zombie. So just when it looks like Gomez is a goner, here come Pugsley and them. Pugsley ends up shocking Slurpee, and he ends up having him crash through like the bathroom wall. So of course, this causes a whole scene. Everybody comes to see what's going on, and then they quickly run away. Principal Doherty's like, "Get in your tents! Get in your tents, kids!" Like that ever stopped Jason before. Okay, come on now. So back in the woods, Slurpee has made his way to Morticia and them. Now, it just so happened that Morticia had literally just broke the glass on Wednesday's heart. So this means no more book for Wednesday. No more book. What is she going to do now that she doesn't have Goody's guidance? Come on, alliteration. So just as she's doing that, y'all, and Wednesday is pulling off her blindfold, she realizes what happened. She sees the zombie. And when I tell you this was an excellent shot, y'all, the cinematography on this shot was fantastic, because Wednesday ended up throwing her sword right past Morticia's hair, like her hair flew back. That's how close it was to her. And it penetrated Igo's brain, or regenerating brain. So as Wednesday is doing her outro for this episode, she's talking about how she's going to have to figure some things out, how nature is supposed to bring people together, when in fact it actually tore them apart. And the scene, the way that they shot the scene when the kids were coming up and seeing what was going on, all the destruction and the chaos, it just seemed very campy. Like at the end of a movie, you know, when the sunlight is coming up, or, you know, when everybody, all of the survivors are coming back together. That's kind of what it seemed like, but it seemed like really campy. I enjoyed this episode. So she's talking about that, and how she's going to have to figure something else out now that she doesn't have the book to guide her. It is what it is, but she's going to have to take the path that's less traveled at this point. And so she's also wondering what's going on with Galpin. Why has he been collecting all these obits for the outcasts? Who in the hell is Lois? And what does she have to do with Enid's impending death? She just has so many questions that she does not have the answers to. And she's continuously got this one-eyed crow stalking her, just at every turn, just there. Every time she turn around, just there. And I will get to that part in a second. But yeah, every time it seems like she's discovering something, the crow is there. Somebody's there. And so as she's talking about she's gonna have to take the road less traveled, we see, because they had loaded up the zombie. So I was thinking that they were taking the zombie to the facility, right? And so then we catch up to Dr. Fairburn and the receptionist, is like, "Oh, hey, Dr. Fairburn, we got our latest transfer, our new patient. They're here. They've arrived." And so she's like, "Oh, okay. Go ahead and make sure you put 24-hour security on this particular patient, because they are very, very dangerous. Okay? We're not going to take this lightly. It's a serious threat if something is to go left. Okay? Anything can happen to any of us. So I want around-the-clock surveillance on this particular patient." So I was like, okay, yeah, they really taking Slurpee real serious, because we don't know what's going on with him. Y'all, why was it Miss Thornhill? She done transferred, y'all. And she done got a haircut too. She still look crazy though. She look even crazier without her glasses. But that's the way the episode ends, y'all. That's the way the episode ends. It was a really good episode. Like I said, I enjoyed the campy aspects of it. How even though it wasn't like a serial killer, it was like a killer coming through, because Slurpee was there. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know who was going to pop up. We didn't know if the crows was going to strike again. Okay? We don't know what's going to happen. Poor little Enid. And she has no clue, y'all. She just trying to live life. And she got a target all around her. And Wednesday is really trying to save her, but she ain't got no help. We need to figure out what happened to Ophelia. Side note, y'all. So me and my friend were talking. Shout out to Joe. And she's an overachiever, okay? She's always been an overachiever when it comes to shows. She always jumps out way ahead of me. And so we were talking about episode 2, but then she started going ahead and giving me little spills about episodes 3 and 4. And we were throwing out theories for who we think is trying to kill Enid. And she mentioned Lurch. And when she told me why, I was like, I see it now. So in this episode, Lurch's eye, the one eye, and I don't know if Lurch's eye has always been like this, but that one eye gets really glassy, really hazy. It's that right eye, y'all. And I didn't pay attention to the crow. Oh my gosh, I should have paid attention to the crow. But we know that the crow only has the one eye. Okay. So every now and then when you see Lurch in this particular episode, his eye is really hazy. Now, I don't think it's Lurch, because why would he want to hurt Enid? But if it's all for protecting the family, then probably. Okay. Maybe that might be the reason. If Enid poses a threat to the family. But I don't see that happening. I don't know, y'all. I don't know who that avian is. I was thinking that it was Eugene, because he's learning all of these new different skills, but I don't think it's him either. He loves Enid, so I'm not quite sure why he would want to hurt her. But yeah, y'all, I'm trying to think if there's any, I don't think there's anything that I missed. But that's it, okay? That was the episode. You guys tell me what you thought about it. You can reach me at Me and You TV Reviews on Facebook and on Instagram. You can also reach me at My TV Reviews Podcast without the S on the end at gmail.com. I love y'all, okay? I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful start to your week, y'all. Please stay safe out there. And until we meet over the airwaves again, I am Mo, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.